that? Yee! We getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo. Whoa.
What's up, YouTube? This is Straight Out of the Bay, where we talk all things 49ers. And I'm going to say what's up to the boys. Let's start out with Jay. Jay, how you feeling?
What's good? Hey, man, it's not a victory Monday, but in a way it is. Hey, no injuries to speak of. CMC got a lot of rest. Brock took the game off. So I know it was a loss in the win column, but I think it was a win long term. But I'm doing great. Always great to hang out with you fellas on a Monday night, man.
Kelts, how you feeling, big dog?
Feeling good, man. Hey, we got the 1 seed, like Jay said, man. What's up, Jay? What's up, E? What up, YouTube? We see you, Raphael, Niner Sickness, the Yahoo champion, fantasy champ, man. What's up, everybody? Yeah, man. Hey, it's the real season begins. You got to do the first season to get to the second season, but man, we're coming. I can't wait.
Hey, we got a good show planned today. You know, we're going to obviously recap this Niners-Rams loss. And we're going to be giving out some awards. You know, MVP, offense, defense. We'll get into it. We're going to dish out some awards to some of these Niners players. But, you know, there was a game that happened yesterday and not a whole lot on the line. That being said, it felt like both teams wanted to win this game. And I want to start off just hearing your general thoughts of the game. And why don't we start out with you, Jay, kind of just your general thoughts about this loss.
Man, coming into this game, you know, neither team had much to play for. The Rams had already secured a playoff spot. Of course, we know about our Niners. And for me personally, there wasn't a lot of juice going into this game. It was competitive, though. I'll say that. It was competitive on both sides. Both teams, it seemed, wanted to win the game, at least for the players that were out there on the field. There were definitely some mistakes on our end, especially offensively. I thought Darnold proved why he was a first-round pick from the New York picked by the New York Jets. He made some plays with his legs. You know, he scrambled out of a few would-be tacklers. He threw some good balls. But, hey, a few of our guys couldn't hold on to it. But I like what I saw from the running game, Mitchell and Mason. I wish they would have been able to do more in the game. I wish they would have gave them the ball more. I think between them, they only had like 21 carries, I think. So, but other than that, hey, you know, the Niners are number 1 seed. Everyone's healthy for the most part. I'm interested to see about Cleveland Farrell, I should say. Hopefully he'll be ready to suit up, but I know he left the game with a knee injury. But yeah, hey, I'm just glad, as Kelp said earlier, that hey, the first part of the season is over. Now it's time to get into, you know, the playoff games. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it was a little tough to watch. Just it was the one game where I was just the least paying attention, the least, you know. So I was kind of all over the place. I'm checking out, you know, all kind of stuff while I'm watching the game. But I was trying to look out for Luter. I was trying to look out for the guys I wanted to see. And that kind of messes up the way I watch the game at the same time, too. You know, I'm trying to fixate on certain guys, and then all of a sudden I'm not seeing something else.
I know. I was locked in on B. Willis. I kept locking in on my boy Braden. So it's like, yeah, then you miss some other stuff. But, yeah, keep going.
And then you're trying to fixate on whoever it is, like you might want to pay attention to, and then maybe they didn't do, or, you know, it just kind of messes the flow up of just the natural just fan just watching the game. It's kind of like if you start playing for money or whatever, then it's like, you know, you could carry, hey, I need Dawson Knox to make a touchdown right now. That's all you care about, you know. Moody, you better make this field goal. I mean, hey, that was a stressful part. I was rooting for Conley. You know, I mentioned it way earlier in the season. By marriage, he's family, and he don't even know it. But you know, that's the way it goes down out here in the Bay. Sometimes you be connected and don't even know it. So I'm rooting for Conley. He drops, or you know, it was a good play by the Rams. They knocked it out. Sam Darnold, like Jay said, you know, he was making some throws, and our receivers were having a hard time holding on to some of the balls. You know, it is what it is. Ayuk was out there doing things, and Debo was doing things, and you know, yeah, man, it was good to see Elijah Mitchell once again, and you know, some of the younger dudes, like I said, Luter, Womack was out there, Willis. So it was different, but it was you know, more like Jay said as well too. Just hey, as long as we didn't come out with no big injuries, it looks like you know, Farrell will probably be all right. And, you know, that's all we could really ask for, you know, just, no major injuries. And, you know, it's gonna make it more exciting with, Detroit and the Rams and, you know, just across the board. I seen someone throw a tweet out. They said, you know, the NFL script writers really had their hand on this one, just talking about, I think it's like Tyreek, you know, Hill, he's going to Kansas City. We got, you
Mm.
know, Stafford going to Detroit. There's a couple other ties too. Like
Funny
some
how the NFL, it just seems to happen where you get these wonderful storylines where
yeah. Hey, what would the game be without, like, the stories behind them? You know what I mean? It's like, you know, some people are, "I don't care about none of that crap," but, hey, the game wouldn't be what it is if there wasn't the stories, if there wasn't, you know, the drama and the overreactions and all those kinda things, so, yeah, man, hey, you know, I can't wait for this bye to be over, and, you know, I'm glad we got the rest, but, you know, I just can't wait to see us back on the field, playing um, you know, the most meaningful football.
Hey,
no
real
doubt.
quick, you mentioned storylines. You got Cleveland going to Houston, and obviously we know about Deshaun Watson, and he had his
That's the
issues off
one.
the field. They trade him. They draft C.J. Stroud, and of course they pick up D'Amico Ryans as their head coach. So that's a hell of a story as well. And I just wanted to touch on real quick because I'm not sure it wasn't really a topic, but Jake Moody, that's definitely something I wanted to bring up to you guys. You know, missed 2 kicks. I think he had 2 streaks that were broken. I think that was the first extra point he's missed all year, I believe.
Mhm.
And he also missed, I think it was like a 39-yarder or something. Both of them were wide right. And I was just curious, like, you know, are you guys concerned about Jake Moody? I mean, he's had a pretty good year if you know take out that 3-game losing streak where he missed a few, but he's been pretty accurate. I'm just curious, what are you guys' thoughts on
You
that?
know, I want to jump in because he's hitting 84% of his kicks, which is decent. Like I went through kind of the kicking statistics and I thought 84%, I believe it was like 19th in the NFL. But here's the thing, Jay, he's only made 2 over 50 yards. We've
Mm,
been using him on a lot of short stuff. So it's like I feel
right.
like that 84% even doesn't quite look as
And
good.
and if you look at the total kicks, I think it was only like 25. So
He's only made Jay, he's only made 21 field
right.
goals this year.
Right.
That's 29th in the NFL, or rather
Wow.
the 49ers are 29th in the NFL
Yeah.
in made field goals with only 21. That's just
Yeah.
17 games. That's just over 1 field goal a
Right.
game.
But I
So
think
it's
that
like,
speaks to the prolific offense, and we're being able to score touchdowns. So I think
yes.
it's a good thing. But then when you get to the playoffs, I was telling my wife, we just can't allow him to win or lose the game. Like I think it's just going to have to come down to that. I don't want to see him. Oh, you got a 55-yarder. It's 28-27. You got to make it to go to the Super Bowl or something. I don't want to put him in that situation. I don't know how you guys feel, but yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable for him in that situation. But with our offense, we shouldn't, and our defense, we shouldn't leave it up to the kicker. That's just how I feel.
Hey, yeah, you know, the stat you put up, Eric, you mentioned something along the lines like, "Hey, we haven't had to use them too much," you know, so that's a good thing. You know, I could play around with this Moody thing, you know, I have a few thoughts and feelings on it, you know, just joking around. Hey, Let's go for it on fourth, and just keep going for it. Let's
I
go
think
for
that's
two
part of
two
it too.
point conversions.
Shanahan has
Let's
been
be
more
more aggressive.
aggressive
Hey, let's be
this
more
year.
aggressive. But
Yeah.
then on top of it, I look at it like none of this really matters right now. Like, yes, did he cost us? Did he technically cost us 2 games? Yeah. Did it hurt us? No. It just didn't. That those are the facts. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like I could nitpick at it and be worried, but here I'll go through one trend that I did, tweet out. The last time he missed kicks, he went on and hit 10 straight. So it feels like sometimes when you have a hiccup, you get back centered. You get back to the basics. You get back to the foundation and you do what you got to do. We've seen the Niners as a team do it. They lose 3 straight and then they go on another run. So hopefully that is the case with Jake Moody. If I had to tell you my gut and to put money on it, I don't know, man. I'm something, I don't know what it is. There's something like if I look at Robbie Gold, and I know Robbie Gold has been there and done that, but if I just look at Robbie Gold and I just look at Jake Moody, maybe it's the veteran rookie thing, but it's just hard to trust Jake Moody. I mean, who would at this point? So
Yeah.
I could see that side of it at the same time. None of it really matters. Like he could go on, he could go
Moody's
on
not
and
battle tested.
yeah, not it. We just don't know. It's a
Right.
massive question mark. It's a new season. He's 0 for 0 right now heading into these playoffs, and
Fair.
it's going to really matter what he does in these playoffs. And hey, man, get back to the basics. Get your head in the game, and hopefully we don't got to use them.
Yeah, that's facts.
You know.
Hopefully they're putting it in, punching it into the end zone as this offense has done so consistently this year. 25 kicks in 17 games that's attempted. It's a small sample size with Jake Moody. Like I still don't know if he's a good kicker. I think I can say he's not a bad kicker, but at this point I couldn't tell you if he's good or if he's average. It's just a small sample. Again, Niners are 29th in the NFL in made field goals.
Let's go.
I would say he's good, but he hasn't proven to make the big kicks in the playoffs. But he hasn't been given that opportunity yet. And real quick, Matt Burrows put out a tweet saying that the Niners aren't planning on bringing on any kickers for the playoffs. So Shanahan is satisfied with what he's seen from Moody. Now, if he misses a few kicks in the playoffs, hey, who knows what happens then? But
I'm nervous about it. About it.
I think we all are. Yeah.
Hey, but shout out to the chat. The chat is live, and I want to. Chat's live. We're going to be pulling up comments, so make sure you're still dropping those. And I know Los is giving some of his playoff predictions in the chat. We got an NFL playoff segment kind of coming up. We're going to break down these wild card games. I want to see who you guys got picked. But I want to jump in and give my thoughts on this game that we just saw yesterday, because it was a tale of two halves, right? In the first half, Niners are up 20-7 at halftime. And at halftime, I was thinking Sam Darnold looks legit. Sam Darnold looks awesome. That first drive, Darnold 5 for 5. He had that sick improvisational play where he spun out, hit Charlie Warner for a 20-yard gain. He had a 48-yarder to Chris Conley. Like in that first half, I thought Sam Darnold was legit. I was like, oh, we really got something in Sam at the backup. And then in the second half, guys, the first 3 possessions coming out of halftime, all 3 possessions, the Niners took a sack, which just absolutely killed the drive. Then you're looking at 3rd and 17, or 2nd and 15. Like they had multiple drives killed by sacks in that second half. And I know, the offensive line, they brought in some of the backups, but that last possession, I was really hoping Sam was going to get us down the field so we could see Jake Moody potentially redeem himself, but obviously we never got that opportunity. That being said, why don't we go directly into the offensive standouts? I think we touched on a couple guys here, but I want to hear who you guys thought really stood out on offense. and we can mix the good and the bad here when we're talking offense. So Jay, I'm gonna kick it to you. You know, who stood out offensively?
Yeah, I felt like watching this game, there wasn't a lot of guys who stood out to me personally. I thought that like Conley, like he made some good plays and then he didn't come down with some tough catches. So it kind of gave a okay performance for me. I thought, Darnold played well. Like you said it earlier, E. He proved why, he was a first round pick by the New York Jets. He made some plays. He delivered some good balls, some accurate balls, but some of his receivers couldn't come down with the ball. So that was disappointing to see. But I like what I saw from Mason and Mitchell. I thought they played well. What's good, Don? How you doing? And shout out to everyone that's in the chat right now. We appreciate you guys tuning with us. I think Sam Darnold, he's not going to be a franchise quarterback for any team, but I think he could be a good backup. Like if he wants to just be a quarterback for the next 15 years in the NFL, I think he could do it based on what we saw yesterday. But then the last drive where it wasn't necessarily his fault. It was kind of fluke. The ball kind of hit the defender's helmet and it popped out. But then when you look at Darnold's career, it's like the guy's got a ton of turnovers, whether you're looking at interceptions or fumbles. Whoops, my bad. I'm supposed to be saying good stuff about Darnold, but hey, I thought he played pretty well. I mean, he's a solid quarterback. I'm not expecting him to necessarily win the game, but I thought he stood out. I like what I saw from Darnold, and I think he could be, a backup quarterback. He can start, if he needs to start 2 or 3 games in a season for a team, I think he could do it. And for me, that was pretty much it. Some person or some player that I think needs to improve on the offensive side of the ball. No one really stood out. I think I might have to come back to me on that, but no one really. I was like, oh, they need to retire from the game. That was a terrible performance. Like there was no one that really wet the bed, I would say. But for me, the guy who stood out the most was Darnold. Took every snap. He did lead us down, at least in the first half. As you said, he tell the 2 halves. He led us down in the first half, and he played well.
Jay, the first half, Sam Darnold went touchdown, missed field goal, touchdown.
I mean, what more could you ask for, right? I mean, what more can you ask for from a backup? So, yeah, my offense stand out, Darnold.
Kelts, what do you like on offense?
Hey, man, it's kind of hard. This is the first time I had to pull the stats up, just to try to find somebody. And this isn't my pick, but I do want to just mention Trey, Carson, Lance Wentz, because I'm not going to lie to y'all, man. When I seen him running on 2nd and 8, I'm thinking, man, that's the same run that Trey broke his freaking ankle on. And this man, Carson Wentz, is just running quarterback power on 2nd down and 1st down and 17 carries. And I know he had 56 yards, but I'm just watching all these runs by Wentz. And I know we're supposed to be talking about the 49ers, but I did notice that watching the game. Like, I couldn't help myself but to think, of hearing Kyle Shanahan talking about, well, y'all don't watch Josh Allen running it on 2nd and 7, just I could picture Kyle saying that about Wentz. Like, look, even Wentz does it, so that was just a little funny thing for me. But, back to the Niners, it was cool to see Elijah Mitchell get more carries, the back-to-back weeks. And I think it kind of quieted maybe some folks down that might have been concerned about Elijah Mitchell, because those are back-to-back weeks where he's showing like, hey, man, remember me. Like, hey, I think I broke a 49er rookie record for the most yards. I know CMC is here. I've been dealing with injuries, but I'm here. I'm not 30 years old and washed up and just, brittle and, so that was cool for me to see just Elijah Mitchell get those kind of touches. I ain't gonna lie, when I did watch him a few times, I was like, oh, please don't be hurt, so I got a little PTSD from that. But, Elijah Mitchell, Sam did his thing. And just to see the first couple of catches by Ayuk, I like that. Hit him on a quick slant. Jay mentioned it with the Conley getting the 48-yarder. I think Conley got a yeah, Conley had a big catch. He missed one as well. Yeah, that's about it, man. That's about it on offense. And it's kind of hard in this kind of a game to say who needs to step up. But I mean, those fumbles, the fumbles by Sam Darnold, you know, it just feels like that's something that's always going to be in his DNA, in his pedigree, So that's it's kind of hard to be like, hey, you need to step it up, Sammy D. But Darnold, he does some things to make you say Darnold, you know, I mean, dag nabbit. What can you say, bro? I mean, hey, he'll make you say darn real quick. Damn it, Darnold.
Hey guys, I don't know if you guys saw or heard, but Niners may have just made a new transaction. We got the latest Niner joining us right now.
Oh snap!
I think he's ready to go. Let's get him on the field
with the
Franklin. I'm thinking corner, possibly tailback for the latest member.
Tailback
thanks for
sure.
coming on. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to fill in for Ambry in the playoffs. So
I love it, bro.
How needs me to fill in for Ambry in the playoffs? I'm down.
You got the Franklin though, bro. I used to have some heaters that said Franklin on them, man.
I'm not gonna lie, this is like crushing my head. I got this when I was like 8 or 9, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on, but this is like crushing my skull right now. So like, we gotta get it out of here.
Okay, hey, it was fun while it lasted.
Hey,
what's up, Amin?
What's up?
Amin's ready, man. He came with the Franklin helmet, man. I mean, I'm
that's dedication, man. Dedication.
For real. I love it. Real talk. What's up, Amin?
What's up, y'all? What's up? How you doing? I was at that game yesterday. It was kind of like, even though it was, it was kind of interesting, but even though the backups were playing, it was still entertaining.
Nice.
Anybody stand out? Like, who made a play that kind of got you pumped up? What play kind of got you juiced up and yelling for the Niners?
I mean, obviously the interception by Taylor Hawkins. I thought Taylor Hawkins, as much as he was, he had obviously he allowed that 2-point conversion late in the game, and then he had that pass interference, which I thought was garbage on the ref. I don't think that was pass interference. He was fighting for the ball. I think the Rams receiver grabbed him, and he was coming down. I don't think that was a pass interference. He had the interception. I thought Taylor Hawkins had himself a good game yesterday, regardless of if you look at, obviously the 2-point conversion and that pass interference that got the Rams down there, which I didn't think is a pass interference. I thought Taylor Hawkins had himself a pretty good game. I also thought Robert Beal Jr. had a pretty good game. He got the sack. He got a couple of pressures up in there. So he was doing his thing. I thought he had himself a pretty good game, and just kind of like Nick Bosa, how guys were holding him, guys were holding Robert Beal on some of them. But I thought he got a couple of pressures in there. And he obviously had the sack. I thought he had himself a good game. I don't know if we thought. I don't know if we talked about step your game up yet. Did you guys touch on step your game up?
You know what? Right now we're on offense, but I'm glad that you jumped in and you're giving us your stuff immediately. So that's awesome. What's up, Kelts?
If you could tell us, because I know the screen doesn't say it all. I know it sounds different when you're at the game. Shoot, my cousin went as well. But when was there a time when the crowd got the loudest?
Crowd got the loudest.
I mean, it probably happened a few times, but I mean,
in general, even because it was a lot of the backups, but in general, I would say the crowd probably got the loudest, at least from my observations, were a lot of the late third downs, fourth down situations. But that's pretty much at every Niners game. It wasn't necessarily where there was a one specific play. Obviously, the interception, right? When there's a big play, obviously the crowd gets hyped, like the interception and things like that. And obviously, for the pass interference call and some of the calls from the refs, the fans were like, "Ref, you suck." I remember a couple of guys in my stands were like, "Darnold, throw the ball! You could throw the ball! Darnold, stop holding the ball, throw the damn ball." But I mean, besides that, I feel like on third and fourth downs, if it was a 4th and 4, the Rams are going for on a third down or things that, obviously the crowd got loud. But that's pretty much at every game for the most part.
Oh,
Yeah,
every third down.
Yeah.
No doubt. Now, getting back to the offensive standouts, I'm kind of with you guys. There wasn't a ton of obvious standouts early in the game. BA was making plays. I thought him and Sam had a good connection in that first quarter. But a guy who stood out to me was JP Mason. And I was hoping he was going to get more than only 6 carries. Only 6 carries for JP Mason when McCaffrey's not even there. And, he looked good. He had the 16-yarder. He's just so explosive, so decisive. He gets the rock, and he's hitting the hole. He's not wasting any time. I thought he looked good. I'm curious to think what did you guys think about JP May? I know Elijah Mitchell also had one really nice run where he trucked a couple guys, ran through an arm tackle, but between the two, I thought JP Mason just looked like he had more juice. What do you guys think about the running backs and their performance?
Hey, JP Mason had that good I think it was 4th and 1, and he kind of barreled his way and barely got the first down, but hey, he showed heart and grit, so that was good. But yeah, it's weird. The Niners are up 20-7 at halftime, and then we're here now saying, well, why didn't we run the ball more? There's only 21 carries between Mitchell and Mason, so that's kind of what's up with that? What's up with that, Kyle? Why are we not running the ball more? You're up 20-7 at half. Give your guys the rock.
Come on, Kyle. But Mason, man, he always runs with his hair on fire, man. It's one of the reasons why I took Pacheco. I love those runners that just are how do I say it? Kind of just beast mode, Lynch. That you could see their heart in their running. Like they're just like, nah, man, like I'm gonna give it everything and over exaggerate everything. And I love that about Mason. That underdog mentality. You could tell he just gives it his all. And I kind of hold my breath with Mitchell, but at the same time, it was hella cool to see him get that amount of carries. I always try to find a way to be like, oh, maybe Kyle's saving his best for last. But we, of course, didn't see that with CMC. Like, people have asked quite a few times, what do you expect from him? Do you expect Mitchell in the playoff? I don't expect nobody to touch the ball but CMC. Like, just when it's Super Bowl or bust and it's full go time, I think Shanahan's not going to want one play slip away. Even an inch. That's just what I think is going to happen. I
agree, Kelp.
Maybe if he's gassed, and I know I kind of went off topic, but maybe if he's absolutely gassed and he calls for one, but I expect all CMC. So, kind of like Moody. Hopefully we don't got to see Mason or Mitchell or Moody, and it's just touchdowns and CMC. You feel me? So, I mean,
if we do see those backs, I think that means the Niners are up by a few touchdowns in the playoffs.
Good point.
That's one way to look at it.
Before we head to the defensive side of the ball, I wanted to hit on my boy B. Willis, Braden Willis. I told you when he was out there, I saw that 9. I was locking in. I was disappointed he didn't catch a ball. I wanted him to.
I was locking in for you, Baller. I was locking in for you. I saw number 9 out there. I was like, that Baller's guy.
Hey, did you see him moving people in the run game? Because when I was watching him,
I wish he got the catch. I wish he got a catch though. That was one thing I was looking out for. But he was moving guys in the run game. You are right about that.
Yeah, I had to get up out of my chair, run it back, kind of take a little video just to put it on display. Like, hey man, B. Willis is getting these blocks in. He's run blocking. He's a physical cat. So B. Willis, I had to shout him out because I did watch him. I thought he was good. In the blocking department, even the announcer on a little swing pass to Ray said, hey, the tight end Willis just had a nice block. So shout out Willis. And anything on offense before we head to defense? No,
you mentioned real quick. You mentioned Ray. I thought he was solid. I think he had a little jet sweep. His punt return, I think he had like 10-12 yards, but I think long term, it was just good to see Ray out there because he had missed the previous, I don't know, like 6 weeks or at least a month. So it's good to see him out there because we're definitely going to need him in the special teams department. I don't know if you guys want to see number 10 back there in the playoffs. So it's good for Ray to be out there.
I love Ronnie Bell, but I do not like number 10, man. That just
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like watching Ronnie Bell yesterday, like there was times where he had opportunities to make catches. Some of it was Darnold throwing it behind, but those opportunities, I'm like, man, like you
Yeah.
could have
Give him a
caught some of
chance.
those. And then, like, except for the touchdown, which if he didn't get the touchdown yesterday, like it would have been, I would have been like, nah, we do not want to see Ronnie Bell at all. But obviously, he got that touchdown. But Ronnie Bell has some where I'm like, you could come down with some of those. Even Ray, he had that jet sweep, but like looking back at that game yesterday, I'm like, all right, I understand why Kyle doesn't put Ray in offensively more often because people are like, oh, you can rest Debo a little bit on certain plays and use Ray McLeod, and yes, you can use him for jet sweeps and things like that. But man, Ray had the Darnold stepped up, he escaped pressure and he threw it to Ray and he just dropped it.
He couldn't come down with that ball after he got hit.
A lot of guys couldn't come down with the ball yesterday. Chris Conley missed a couple. Ronnie Bell missed a couple. The offensive line, like honestly, the starters are fine, but like this backup offensive line, like we just better hope nobody gets hurt in the playoffs because I don't trust any of these guys. Just watching yesterday's game, I don't trust any of these guys that are behind our starters because it wasn't good yesterday. It wasn't pretty, and it wasn't like we were going up against the Rams starters. Donald was resting. Some of the rookies were resting. We were going up against their backups. It was like a preseason game, and yet our offensive line was still struggling. So as much as like people were like yesterday when I was at the game, people were getting mad at Donald. They're like, Donald, throw the ball. Like, yes, there was times where you could say he held the ball too long, but at the same time, the way I look at it was like receivers either weren't open and the offensive line wasn't giving Darnold any help. And when Darnold did make a play or get the ball to a receiver, the receiver most of the time wouldn't come down with it. And Darnold put it there. Like he gave receivers opportunity multiple times with Ronnie Bell, with Ray McLeod, with some of these guys, even Chris Conley on a couple of them to come down with it, and they just couldn't. Even on the last drive, Chris Conley was running like this little out route, and he was wide open, and Darnold put it there near the sideline. He just dropped it, like in his hands out, and I'm like, you gotta come down with that.
And I want to blame Brock Purdy's finesse and just the catchable ball that Brock Purdy throws, but doesn't Darnold normally throw it to Chris Conley and Ronnie Bell? And so you would think that they would just typically you see that second unit, the wide receivers and the backup quarterback, and typically they're locked in. So that's kind of, I don't want to, and it didn't look like, Sam Darnold was throwing hot wobblers, so it's like you can't use that as an excuse. So is what it is. Now go ahead.
Yeah, I want to address this comment before I can get it off the screen. Ramelia comes in. He's responding to, he said, the crowd got the loudest when Puka got the touchdown.
To the no. Yeah, to the no.
That's false, Ramelia. I was confirmed.
I can officially confirm that was false according to my sources, which is me being there. Yeah, that was not the case. That was definitely not the case.
Yeah, congrats, Puka. Congrats, Puka. Never mind. I'm gonna leave it alone. I almost said something.
I couldn't even hear any Rams fans because there wasn't any. There was maybe maybe 10, 15, maybe if we're being nice about it. Like it was all red. Even week 18 when the starters aren't playing, it was like all red. And then you saw a couple of Rams fans here and there.
It was just Ramelia, and he probably had the speaker with the built-in noise, or he was probably pumping noise, and yeah.
Che Martinez, thanks for stopping by. He said, why don't they give Tay Martin any play time? He is on the practice squad still, but it's like you only get the 2 practice squad elevations. I wish for a game like that there would be more spots available for you to kind of pluck guys off the practice squad. But you can only get 2. I think that's why, Che, we haven't seen Tay Martin. But let's flip it to the defense. This game was all about guys getting opportunity, right? And Amin came in immediately, booms, touching on Robert Beal, who I agree. I mean, I thought Robert Beal looked really good. Hawkins, the safety, came in, had a big interception. That was great to see, man, because these guys worked their tail off all year in practice, and finally they get their opportunity to kind of show what they got. And, Hawkins goes out, makes a play with the interception. But I want to hear, who do you guys think stood out defensively? Jay, why don't we start out with you?
Hey, man, well, this cat, he's been under a lot of scrutiny for majority of the season. He had a starting role with the squad, but he eventually got benched. And I thought he came out, and this was his Super Bowl game. And clearly, that's how he played by leading the 49ers in tackles. I'm talking about none other than Isaiah Oliver. I mean, the guy can't cover. We know he can't cover, but this guy can tackle. And that's what he did in Atlanta. That's why Sideline Wilkes wanted him with the Niners. And the guy was all over the field making tackles. He was acting like he was Fred Warner or Dre Greenlaw out there. But yeah, it was good to see him, play with, there wasn't much on the line, obviously, in the game. But I thought he played a pretty good game. Led the team in tackles. What more can you ask for? There are a few other guys that stood out, but I'm going to leave a little bit of meat on the bone. If no one says their name, I'll mention them. But Isaiah Oliver, at least he does one thing really well. And we know he can do that one thing well, and that's tackling.
Celts.
Yeah, man. I think that's the moment when Adam Peters and John Lynch kind of fell in love with Oliver. I think it was versus the Rams in the beginning of the year, and he made a certain tackle, and they were like, he just became a Niner because, when he first came here, he was kind of skeptical on how he wanted to run through things. And, they were teaching him like, hey, man, we want you to run through the person because if you don't get him, we got 5 behind you. That's going to clean it up. Just so he's at least brought that, I think Oliver could do well if he was matched up versus the tight end or bigger. You just can't get him matched up. You can't get him, you can't get the mismatches, so I don't want to, crap on Oliver too hard, but Flanagan Fowles is an obvious one. Someone said it in the chat as well. He looked like a dog out there. Oren Burks was, those two guys they just stood out. It's like one specific play where I remember them. It was probably on the sack. But other than that, just like you said, Jay, I'll leave some meat on the bone. I did see 69 out there. I'm pretty sure that was Joseph Day. I know I got excited just seeing him out there and was like, okay, like, hey, let me see what he's got. I tried to look for him, and then all of a sudden he was gone. I don't know what happened. I started watching the game. I was up and down that whole game, man.
It was a lot of Kinlaw and Givens were out there a lot, right? It was
Chase Young. Did he play the whole game?
Chase Young as well.
Chase Young and Randy Gregory were. It felt like for 3/4 of that game, it was Chase Young, Javon Kinlaw, Kevin Givens, Randy Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen Womack out there, I think, and it's like, well, whenever I would see a player I was looking for, it feels like I wouldn't see him no more. So it was just kind of a weird game. Anything I was looking for, it's all of a sudden it was gone. So I'm just like, what the? Okay, oh, there's Luter. All of a sudden, I don't see Luter no more. There's Womack. I don't see what. So, besides, Flanagan Fowles, Flan, he definitely was a guy who stood out though, and yeah, Oliver as well, man. So, yep.
Amin, who'd you like? I know you touched on Robert Beal, but anyone else you saw? I know when you're at the game, it kind of gives you a different perspective. So I'm curious to hear, who you thought stood out defensively.
I mean, Isaiah Oliver was one person I thought was okay yesterday. Obviously, he led, the Niners in tackles, but it was like I remember one play specifically, it was like a 3rd down or something like that, and like Isaiah Oliver got in there, and he just missed the tackle. And, like, only reason I'm not going to crap on him more is because a lot of Niners miss tackles. Fred Warner misses tackles, and the Niners have their games where they do struggle with, with tackling. So I'm not going to completely crap on him, but, like, coverage-wise, going up against backups, I wish I saw a little bit more. It was not like he was horrific, but I just wish I saw a little bit more from him. But, yeah, Isaiah Oliver wasn't bad. Besides Robert Beal, I wish we saw Randy Gregory out there a little bit more. I feel like, Chase Young, obviously it helped when, he obviously creates pressure with the starters, but Chase Young was kind of whatever. Like, he had some nice plays. He had that one nice run stop, but besides that, like, maybe it's me being having high expectations for Chase Young based off where he was drafted, but Chase Young definitely ain't Nick Bosa. He ain't on that level.
I want to jump in though. I want to jump in because actually Chase Young was going to be like my biggest standout defensively.
No, I'm not saying
that Chase Young was really freaking good yesterday. No, I thought he was just.
He had himself a hell of a good game. It just because he was drafted number 2, and because people would always have that comparison with Nick Bosa, and everybody, the way, obviously the Niners drafted Nick Bosa number 2, and like franchise player, he could change your defense around. The same thing they gave Chase Young, the same comparisons they gave to Chase Young, and some guys even said Chase Young was better than Nick Bosa. And the only way I'm bringing back Chase Young next year is on like maybe a 1-year, 2-year deal. But I'm not giving him a long-term, like 4-year, $80 million extension.
You're not ready to sign him up 4 years,
I'm
$90 million?
I'm ready to sign him up for like a 1-year or 2-year. But I think Randy Gregory's great. I think Cleveland Farrell on a 1-year deal coming back next year is more value. I think giving Robert Beal Jr. more opportunities, giving Drake Jackson more opportunities is more worth it for me than re-signing Chase Young to a 4-year, $80 million contract. Because honestly, this might be not a popular opinion, but is he productive? Sure, but is he on that level of Nick Bosa, or is he even that much better when you really think about it than the same production I can get from Randy Gregory, or maybe a Robert Beal if you use him a little bit more, or a Cleveland Farrell who's been good when he's gotten opportunities. I don't really see like Chase Young, as much as he was good yesterday. He had himself a good game. I'm not saying that he didn't, but does he really distance himself that much?
What Chase Young does best, you don't really see on the stat sheet, unfortunately. And for where he was drafted at, you need to see him get sacks. And the amount of money that he's going to want to command in the offseason, like he's going to have a hell of a postseason in order for him to get, a lucrative contract extension from maybe just the Niners. Maybe another team will take a flyer on him for a 1 or 2, maybe 3-year deal, but I don't think he'll be back with the Niners unless he wants to take a discount. I don't think he'll be back. I don't know how you guys feel. I would love to know, but I don't think his impact has been significant. And for what he does, like kind of like Amin said, you could get a Cleveland Farrell, you can get a Randy Gregory. There's still Drake Jackson. Would I like to have him back? Sure, on a not breaking the bank for him, but I wouldn't break the bank for Chase Young, no. But if he wants to come back on a 1 year, like Amin said, yeah, I'll be down with that.
Chase Young, he ain't coming back, in my opinion. I don't think he's coming back. He's a 1-year, half-season Super Bowl rental. Someone you bring in. Hey, Niners are trying to load up. They paid a 3rd-round pick to go get him, and they're probably going to get compensated a 3rd-round pick when he leaves. Right. So it was just great GM work by John Lynch. But this was a rental, and I'm hoping – Chase Young, I don't think he's been bad, but I think I'm with you guys. I was expecting a little more juice, although I thought he was really freaking good yesterday. I had him down. I thought he was harassing his former teammate for the Commanders, Carson Wentz. I thought he was all over him, giving him a tough time. And Kelt's got something. What's up, Kelt's?
Hey, Chase has experience, or how do I say this? Unmotivated football, unmotivated and injuries. I mean, coming from Washington, just being that unmotivated, going through those kind of injuries. Look at Scary Terry McLaurin over there. Like, man, I wish I had something like the 49ers. I don't know if y'all seen, heard about him saying something like that. And of course, Trent Williams got to, taste the good and the bad. And so I kind of look at it like, now Chase knows the difference. Who knows? He might take, I know it's money, but he might be smart enough to know that winning in Super Bowls can compensate a lot more than for some contracts. It just depends. What situation, what kind of person. Who knows if he takes a super big discount because he wants to be in this environment. And I also think he could get a lot better if he was around a motivated organization, around one of his best friends, Nick Bosa, just really get him back into his full potential shape. If the injuries stay down, I know it's kind of, but I do agree with what you said, Baller. I also agree with you, Amin and Jay, on the whole thing. It's a lot easier to throw in a Farrell or a Ebicam or a Menahue, those kind of type of guys. You could kind of go find those guys anywhere compared to like in Ayuk. If it had to come to Chase Young or Ayuk, or trying to fit them both in, you ain't going to just go find another Ayuk. I don't care how many people say, oh, well, you can. Now, what Ayuk does is hella underrated. Just the blocking, the dog mentality.
He ain't going nowhere.
every
Have
once
you
in a
heard some
while,
people throwing out?
every once in a while, Ayuk drops a ball here and there, but just look at his progression. Look at his. You've never heard a bad thing about Ayuk, and I kind of like the quiet. There's a quiet swag about Ayuk. He lets most of his talking do on the field, but there's a quiet. Hey, don't mess with me. I'll sock you in the mouth. Like, for real, look at Fred Warner and Ayuk. I'm glad that Fred Warner kind of lightweight pulled that out. It's
He brought
always
it out
been
of him.
there. He's just been leveling up. And I don't even think his full peak is gonna come until like year 5 or 6. You know what? There's some players who are like that. Some players come in on fire and their peak is at year 2 and 3, and then maybe they simmer down. Like, and then there's other guys, man. I'm getting the chills just even thinking about it. And then there's other guys like Ayuk who I think just loves it. And when you love it, you're gonna try to be as great as you can your whole career. Rice. I'm pretty sure Rice was still running up the hill at year 15, and shit, he's still running up the hill right now. I'm pretty sure. There's some guys where it is them, and I think Ayuk is that. I think Chase Young could be that. It's kind of. I was listening to. I'm sorry to go long winded, but I was listening to Eric Armstead and Javon
Yeah, yeah.
talking about, Javon Hargraves was talking about, bro, like the work over here with the 49ers. I was kind of looking at it like, are y'all crazy? Y'all really doing this kind of work on a daily basis? Like, he was describing the 49ers as, just the difference between Philly and the 49ers. And the 49ers obviously go hella hard. And Eric Armstead was like, oh, it wasn't nothing. You should have seen when Kyle first came here, it was even worse. Like, but hella cool.
Hey, Kels,
Yeah.
maybe that's why there was all those injuries. Because, like, I mean, if Armstead was bad back then, like, we were always like, what is the reason why all these 49ers are getting hurt? What is the one
Hey,
problem?
You've been
and
watching too much GC. I mean,
Hey, and we would all say, I think we all
Back in
kind
the
of
day,
took
man.
turns. I think we all kind of took turns saying, "Hey, bro, they go 110%. It's like live by the 3, die by the 3. When you go 100%, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen at any percent, but hey, that probably got something to do with the tread on the tires for sure. And if you have fatigue, you're gonna get injured.
No, but that's what makes Ayuk so impressive. Cause I kind of touched on it last week, but like he's not a number one option on this team. There's so many other guys that are ahead of him, yet he's still putting up such a dominant season. Like people are praising, guys like Puka Nakua, and as much as Puka, I mean, give him his respect, or like CD Lamb. But at the same time, you look at what they're doing. They're like wide receiver 1s, wide receiver 2s. Where Ayuk, yes, he is a wide receiver 2, but he's not the first option on this team. There's George Kittle's, there's Christian McCaffrey's, there's Debo, and then you could say, you know what, we have Brandon Ayuk. But like, I mean, even on this offense in general, like when you think about this Niners offense, you think, Trent Williams, you think Christian McCaffrey, you think George Kittle, Aaron Banks is also a stud. People talk about John Feliciano and his PFF grade. Like, then you're like, okay, I kind of gets overshadowed, yet he's still been so productive. Even like a guy like Greenlaw, like Dre Greenlaw, for example, like everybody looks at Fred Warner because obviously he's all pro Fred, and props to Fred Warner because he is a baller, but Dre Greenlaw is also great. Just how Aziz was great also a couple of years ago for the 49ers. So because this Niners roster is so stacked, there are guys that do really, really well for this 49ers team and are play at a high level, yet they kind of get overshadowed because the Niners have so much stars. And people call Kyle Shanahan an offensive genius, but like the one thing that we don't give Kyle Shanahan enough credit for is if you really think about it, Kyle Shanahan in his own way is kind of like a movie director. He picks certain players and he picks certain like roles for these certain players, and he already has it in mind. Like, I have this player and I'm going to use him in this certain way, and this is how he's going to impact my offense. A guy like Debo is like the perfect example of that, because in that draft, if you really think about it, in that draft, if Kyle Shanahan, like a lot of guys, there was a lot of, if you're talking about in terms of pure wide receiver, like who has better routes, who runs better routes, who has better hands, there was guys like A.J. Brown in that draft, like a Terry McLaurin in that draft. But Kyle Shanahan said, I want Debo Samuel. And at first I was like, Kyle, what are we doing here? Like, we have A.J. Brown in the draft. We have Terry McLaurin. We have so many other guys here that are like, at least that I was scouting. I was like, these are better guys. I didn't even know who Debo Samuel was, right? And then you look at what Debo's done with the 49ers, and you're like, damn, Debo, like, Kyle Shanahan, you, like, that was a phenomenal freaking pick. Not because Debo is good, but because the way that you utilize Debo and the way that you picked him and you're like, I'm going to use him in this instance, and this is how he's going to impact my offense if it works, and it worked to a freaking T. So Kyle Shanahan, the way that he utilizes certain players, the way that he gets the most out of them, and even Christian McCaffrey said it. He was like, this team is so special, but like guys are blocking for each other. You know, like you look at for the Steelers, for example, like you see guys like George Pickens not getting the ball, being like, I ain't doing anything, like I ain't, or like even DK Metcalf. Right? I wanted DK Metcalf. He was on my mock draft. I wanted DK Metcalf. I don't know if DK Metcalf is blocking 20 times a game for Christian McCaffrey or Elijah Mitchell. He's not doing that, right? But this team is so unselfish, and this team blocks for each other. This is just a selfless team, and that's what's so special about it. And Kyle Shanahan, credits to John Lynch, Adam Peters, and Kyle Shanahan, except for those third-round running backs. Besides that, like Kyle Shanahan, when he does pick a player, you know he's, especially an offensive guy, you know he's picking it for a certain role in his offense. And for the most
Time
times,
to do some sketchy
except
shit.
for Trey Lance, I would say. Besides that, you know,
Hope
it's
I
good.
get away with it. Oh, do da day.
What was that?
That was the third round running back press conference right there. That was the third round running back. Explain yourself, Kyle. The Trey Sermon, and there it was.
Time to do some sketchy shit. Do da do.
That's the
Honestly,
third
bro.
round. That's what happens in the third round with the running
If
backs.
You mean like Pamela too?
Moody, let's
If
go,
Kyle just hit in the third, like
baby.
they would literally have almost perfect drafts every season. If you just hit on the thirds and some of the fifths, I mean not some of the fifths, some of the first rounders, like if you Solomon mids, if you
Joe
literally hit
Williams.
the first and the thirds, I mean Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch would have like 9 out of 10 drafts, or like if not 10 out of 10 drafts every season.
Hey, what do you guys think? Shay Martinez says that the Ayuk show is better than Justin Jefferson. Are we going there?
You know what?
wouldn't do that.
I think AU could be argued with anybody, just given the fact that almost everything that just Amin just said. You know, not every receiver is gonna like truly buy into their team. You do get a lot of these guys crying, and you know if they don't get a certain amount of targets, they don't. I mean, look at Ayuk, man. How many times have we really heard Ayuk like come out? And do you know how many other receivers in the NFL would have like created scenes over his usage or dog houses, or what do you mean? I
don't think you could in this offense. I don't think you could.
On the Niners team. He wouldn't want to be on this Niners team. Like prime Randy Moss, who like there's always that insane stat sheet: 3 catches, 3 touchdowns, 160. Like prime Randy Moss wouldn't want to be on this team because Randy Moss, like at least from what I've heard with Randy Moss, there's a lot of, like when like sometimes with, like my uncles and things like that who watch Randy Moss, they always tell me like, dude, Randy Moss was great, but when he didn't get the ball, it was like Randy didn't care and like he wouldn't try on certain plays when he didn't get the ball or when he knew the ball wasn't going to him. Like even a guy like Randy Moss wouldn't want to be on this team because the Niners, and that just shows you how special this team is because guys are so selfless and not selfish on this team. Like guys like Juwan Jennings who get like 3 catches a game on third down, and they're blocking the whole game, blocking linebackers and crap, blocking DBs, blocking whoever's in front of them. Like it's just special.
Hopefully we get to see one year Ayuk. Like I wish I did a prorated thing with Ayuk's targets compared to Jefferson's targets and see what it looks like prorated. Like let's see if we take those same averages, give them that amount of targets. Let's see what the stats would look like because you know because
they wouldn't be pretty. It wouldn't be pretty.
Ayuk's would be through the roof, bro.
Yes,
If he is maximizing the opportunities, just like Brock Purdy. This whole offense is maximizing every op. That's why you see George Kittle with 15 yards a catch, Ayuk 18 yards a catch. Like, you know, it's everybody working together, and it comes all the way back down to Kyle's vision. Because, you know, that's when you're building a team, that's what you gotta have. So you gotta have a plan. You can't just draft all the best guys and expect it to work. You gotta have a vision, you gotta have a plan, you got to see it. You know, you got to see it. You know what I'm saying? And he's done that so far. Yeah, man.
No doubt. Ayuk is way better than CeeDee Lamb, Puka. Yeah, I'm taking Ayuk over Puka. He's just way more explosive. I think he's more dynamic. CeeDee Lamb, we had this conversation a few weeks ago. Felt like I kind of had to stick up for CD Lamb for some reason. Just to remind everyone, CD Lamb's really freaking good, but they're in the same tier. CD Lamb and Brandon Ayuk, same tier.
Hey, did Debo start that celebration with the nose thing in the first down? You smell what the Debo's cooking?
I think it was. I've seen Debo do it, but I don't know who started it. But
I could have swore Debo was because I think he'd always talk about
CD do it too. I don't know who started it.
I think CD do it more often. Where like after every first down he catches, you always see him. He goes like that. He does his thing. But like Debo,
it's a slime thing, right? Yeah. There's some kind of slime thing. Slime, and I wouldn't doubt it if it's.
I thought their nose is a little runny and they're just like white all over their arm. It's like, dude, just get a Kleenex, bro. Just get a Kleenex.
That's
hey,
the
fellas,
Thiz,
I want to get to
his face. That's that Thiz face right there. That's what that's what it is.
You know, straight out of the Bay, we all know about the Thiz face. Real quick, I think we got to see everyone's Thiz face real quick here.
There it is. Timeout.
Okay, next up, we got the 49er Superlatives. We're going to be handing out some awards. You know, we talked I sent them to you guys backstage. And before we get to the MVP and offense, defense, why don't we have a little fun, keep it a little light? You know, one of the ones I put out there, best interview. Okay, and I'll start this one off. We listen to a lot of pressers, or we watch some of these videos coming out from the reporters in the locker room. I want to hear who you guys got as the best interview. When they got the mic, you want to listen to hear what they got to say. And I'm going to start off with Chris Forrester. Man, I love these coach press conferences that happen every week. You know, Wilkes and Chris Forrester get to the podium. More specifically, Chris Forrester, like he just keeps it so freaking real all the time. So I'm always just kind of captivated. Like there was an offensive lineman the Niners signed, Barch. He's a guard, you know, backup. And he was like, yeah, you know, I was talking to the offensive line coach, my old buddy at the Jaguars, and he's like, oh man, you know, you should take a look at this guy we got. You know, they don't want to put him on the roster. And then next thing you know, he's just telling like stuff that I feel like coaches probably should kind of keep close to the vest, maybe behind this. Chris Forrester, man, he just talks and talks, and
that's
like who I got. Yeah,
it's like Trent Williams tipping plays. It's kind of like you can always counter off that. You know, you say too much, you can always counter off of, you know, saying too much or doing too much or giving. But that's a great pick, and that was a good impersonation because I love how he talks quick, but he's kind of raspy and he keeps it just like you said, bro. He keeps it hella real. You ain't gonna get no BS from Forrester whatsoever. So that's a great pick. I haven't put really any thought into the interview. I mean, Kittle is always fun. I guess it depends what kind of day you're having. If you want something serious, you know, or vanilla, you might need to go to a Brock or, you know, Nick Bosa or something. If you want something a little more spicy or something, I don't know. I think people always look at Debo like he's a little awkward or this, that, or that, but I don't know. I like listening to Debo too, man. I like listening to Debo.
Debo keeps it short. Debo keeps it short and sweet. Right to the point. You're gonna get like I'm gonna give you an answer, but it's gonna be in as few words as possible.
And I ain't gonna lie. I don't know. Maybe everybody has their different tastes, but I love when he does. I guess some people call it awkward, but I love when he'll just give a short answer but stare. I don't know. I love how like, hey, it could be worse. You know, just like bro. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know, man. I got a certain. I love just that when you don't know what to do or it makes you think twice and you can't really get like, oh, what's happening here? It's all of a sudden quiet. I personally love that shit when it comes to football. I want them to worry. I want them to think twice. I want them to be like, oh, hey, this dude is maybe a little off, but he ain't playing no games. He's going to try to knock my mouthpiece out. Just, you know, so I personally love that. It's not everybody's cup of tea. Kittle, it used to get on my nerves a little bit, but I've grown to appreciate it more and more and more. Just the goofiness and the love and the joy and all that stuff. But he'll keep it hella real too, man. So I'll just stop there. I got to give Jay somebody.
Hey, the best interviews is what John said. What's good? Is Cat Williams. That was pretty funny. That's why I was laughing when he was talking.
There it is.
But I would say honestly, watching interviews honestly is one of the most boring things for me personally. And the reason is because a lot of stuff that they're saying, they may talk for 30 seconds and like 5 seconds is actual truth, and the other stuff they're just glossing around, or they're trying to say enough but don't say anything. So it's kind of boring. But I would say Sideline Steve, he usually doesn't say a whole lot, but it's straight to the point. It's real. But they're also not going to say, oh, what the game plan is against Pat Mahomes next week. Like, they're not going to say that. But I typically like interviews when they're talking about players' injuries or something like that. If we get an update, that's something I tune into. If they're asking about, oh, what do you think about Lamar Jackson? Oh, he's a hell of a player. He's a scrambler. He throws with accuracy. Like, of course he's going to say that. So I'm not really.
He can make every throw.
From that. Yeah, I'm not really getting anything from that. But I like Sideline Steve. He's serious, straight to the point. Yeah, he calls it like it is. And that's one guy who stands out. Kyle sometimes is kind of hard to listen to because the way he speaks. If you heard Kyle, you kind of know what I mean. But yeah, that's one guy who stood out. Sideline Steve.
I mean, who's a favorite guy you like to listen to?
I'm kind of with Day a little bit, right? Like watching press conferences and things like that. I'm like sitting there and like sometimes when I hear something, I'll like go back and I'll rewind it. And I'll be like, all right, let me hear what Kyle Shanahan said on that one. Press conferences are kind of like, but probably my personal favorite. You can obviously say Kittle, who's always really exciting. But my personal favorite, in a way, is kind of Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa, it's just the way that he talks about certain things, right? It's like the Niners. Oh, the Niners got the number 1 seed. He's like, yeah, no, Niners got the number 1 seed. Are you excited to go back to the Super Bowl, Nick? Yeah, we get another opportunity to play in the Super Bowl this year. We're looking forward to it. Like just the way that Nick Bosa says certain things, like it could be like the most exciting thing ever, and Nick Bosa, just the way that he says, like always that chill demeanor. I don't know. I've never seen Nick Bosa like super excited where his voice is loud and anything like that. Like Nick Bosa, just the way that he talks in press conferences, things like that. It's always like so chill, so smooth. Like I would probably go with Nick Bosa because like the reporter could ask anything. It could be like something really great, and still Nick Bosa will have the same response. Like he'll have a good response in the same tone, same voice. So probably Nick Bosa.
Right. When they had him mic'd up, I'm thinking back on it, and I don't know why I didn't think about this. When I think he was mic'd up, I don't know if I ever heard him yell one time when that's impressive. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard Nick Bosa yell. Like, that's like him to be mic'd up and not yet. And then even when plays are happening, you hear little grunts or little things here and there. But, dude, he was talking like that even on the field. That's a trick.
Bro, Kels, you know what that clearly remind me, bro? There was like a Nick Bosa top 100 video, and it was his rookie year, and like he tackled Julio Jones on a play, and he like literally went to I think he went to D4, and he's like, I just tackled Julio Jones. That was really cool. And I'm like, you see anybody else doing that? Like if they tackle Julio freaking Jones, they're like, dude, I just freaking sacked Julio Jones. Like that's crazy. Nick Bosa on the other hand, he's like, I just tackled Julio Jones. That was pretty cool, man. Like that was really cool.
It's like Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is never out of breath, but then Kyle talks like he's always out of breath. It's a little strange, but yeah, man, that's a good pick on Nick Bosa. I mean,
no, that concludes the best interview. Next award we're giving out, Kelch. This was one you suggested, and I couldn't really think of a good one. I'm curious to hear who you got, but
man,
comeback player of the year. Well,
I got
I'm kicking it right to you, Kelch.
Got it. Hey,
only one can get the award. Mention your honorable mentions, but only one gets the award, Kelch.
So now I'm thinking which one y'all might not say. Because I don't want to leave anybody out. I'm gonna make sure I say them all at some point. But
Yes, yeah.
I got to give it to Kinlaw, man. Got to give it to Kinlaw. I mean that's the obvious one. He's been, we thought his career could be over. He wouldn't be a Niner. This man can't stay healthy. The knee. Just the fact that he was able to suit up for every single. I'm pretty sure it's every single game this year. The numbers aren't overwhelming, but it doesn't. I don't care about the numbers. The
He did some
man,
good things.
the man revitalized his career, but more than anything, just watching the leverage, just watching that he's able to be on the field every game and be a contributor, not just be there. Oh, we feel bad for him or whatever. You know what I'm saying? The leverage is good. He got 3.5 sacks. I know he didn't get a pick six or a fumble recovery like he did back in the day. I think his rookie season versus the Rams, just in case Romelia is still watching. But, the award goes to Javon Kinlaw. Props to you, big dog. It looks like he's hella maturing as well. Just being around guys like Eric Armstead. Just everything that we know about Kinlaw, comeback player of the year. I hope you guys nail the other ones, so I don't got to say them, but well done, Kinlaw. Real talk.
Hey, just to piggyback on Kinlaw, if you look at his 21 and 22 season, he only played in 10 games. In 2 seasons, he had about 300 snaps in those 2 years total. And then you look at this year, he's played in every game. He's got 6 starts under his belt, 476 snaps. That's more than he had combined the last 2 seasons. So, hey, props to Kinlaw. Kudos to him. I know the Niners declined the 5th-year option, which, it makes sense. But he had a lot of expectations being drafted after we, traded away. Why is his name escaping me? I don't know why. Maybe it's because we're live. But yeah, exactly. But he had a lot of expectations. Hey, he was supposed to replace him, but it, obviously it didn't come to fruition, and sometimes that happens in life. But it's not how you get knocked down, it's how you get back up. And props to Kinlaw. He's having a career year, shall I say. And if he's not a Niner next year, hopefully, hey, Godspeed in his career. Hopefully he'll have much success throughout the rest of his career. But for me, it was not even close. It was Javon Kinlaw.
Who you got? Comeback player of the year.
I'm gonna go with someone who's a stud, but who had a down year in 2022 is Deebo Samuel. As much as, obviously you guys said Javon Kinlaw, but I was one of those people that also was like, Deebo, like, was he kind of overpaid? What's his role in this offense with Christian McCaffrey? And Deebo Samuel's been a dog this year. Like, he's walked the walk, he's talked his talk, but Deebo Samuel has been a brawler this year. Like, and he obviously coming off that down year last year, has been able to stay healthy for the most part this year, and has been a baller this year for the 49ers. Obviously, that Eagles game is definitely one that stands out. And, like, Deebo Samuel, whenever I don't really watch, like, I'm usually watching Niners games for myself, but sometimes I'll be at my grandparents' house watching Niners game, and they don't know anybody on the Niners except for Deebo Samuel. Because for some reason, every time I'm watching a Niners game with them, whether it might be against the Rams last year on Monday Night Football, they're huge Deebo fans. They're always like, get the ball to Deebo Samuel, because they're always like, whenever I'm watching with them, it'll be like Deebo Samuel like will break 3-4 tackles and he'll take it to the house. So Deebo Samuel, what he's done this year, coming off obviously a couple of injuries last year, a little bit of a down season where some Niners fans did doubt Deebo. He's definitely one. And then I'm going to say an honorable mention for my comeback player of the year. I would say in a way Clean and Farrell. It's not really the only reason I'm saying Clean and Farrell only because
great picks, both of them.
Right. Because obviously he was drafted literally right after Nick Bosa, and then obviously the Niners signed him on a 1 year, but he's been great for the 49ers, and it's like he didn't really play much for the Raiders. They didn't really play him that much. Obviously drafted really high for fourth pick in the draft, but for what he's done this year, I think he's been solid for the 49ers. So I would say comeback player of the year. If you're really talking comeback, not necessarily for the 49ers, but he obviously was on the Raiders last year, but for what he's done last year to what he's been able to do this year for the 49ers, I mean, he's earned the playing time. He's definitely been productive for the 49ers when he's gotten opportunities.
That's good. I like that. I mean, it's along those lines because Kelt's making it look like there's a bunch of comeback players on this. I went through the depth chart. I'm like, who am I missing? But I got one that hasn't been said. What about Ambry Thomas? Ambry Thomas. Okay, I got one from Kelts, but Ambry Thomas is the guy I had written off. I didn't think he was even going to make this roster during training camp. So he's proved me wrong. You know, he's been a solid piece. Once that hand heals up, he's going to be the starting corner in that playoff game. So Ambry going from, you know, a lot of time spent on the bench to starting corner. Hey, kudos, Ambry. You've had a pretty good year. Just let's see some good moments from you come playoff time. But Kelts, did we miss anyone?
Hey, my two great picks by me, man. One guy I didn't think of was Debo. I think that was a great pick.
That was good, yeah.
But if I threw in Ambry was one of them. I think it was Kinlaw, Ambry, and then Kittle. I threw Kittle and McKivitz.
Really?
I threw Kittle and McKivitz because McKivitz, I mean, I know he didn't play last year, or thinking, did he get a game in there? My thing with McKivitz, it's like he's been waiting his turn. You know, I think this is his fourth year in the league, something like that. He's been waiting his turn. And so maybe not necessary, but it just feels like a comeback. Like he's been waiting his turn. He stepped up. I feel like he's been better than McGlinchey. I don't know what the stats say and the pressures and all that, but I haven't heard week after week after week, oh my God, this McKivitz dude, he's messing it up again. And that's all I feel like I would hear from McGlinchey. And, you know, the eye test kind of matched that. If you don't hear about an offensive lineman, they're typically doing well, you know, and but Kittle as well, man. I think this is his first 1,000-yard. You know, I know Brock helped him catch fire at the end of last year, you know, but it's been kind of lightweight down years. I mean, the Kittle's always solid, but it feels like this year he is the Kittle of back in the day. It feels since 2019. It feels like to me this is his best year since 2019. I really don't know exactly where the numbers line up, but yeah, I feel like the four guys I wrote down was Kinlaw, McKivitz, Ambry, and Kittle, man. So yeah.
Hey, I thought Kittle last year he had the most touchdowns of his career, but as you mentioned, you know, Brock, you know, accelerated that in the back half of the season. Because Kittle finished with 11 touchdowns, but you know, on yards, you know, he had 765 the previous year. He had 910 the previous year. Before that, he had 634. You know, but there's no doubt this is his best. This is probably his second or third best year of his career. No doubt about that. So,
hey, before we get to the heavy hitting awards, the MVPs and whatnot, I got one more kind of lighter one. I want to hear most underrated player on the 49ers. And I'll kick this one off. And I'm going to start out. I'm looking at the O-line, and I'm looking right at the center position. Jake Brendel. I think he's been really good this year, guys. Now, you know, in pass pro, does a big, powerful guy. Is he able to push Brendel back a little bit? Yes. But, you know, how many times throughout the year, fellas, like when we're looking at a chunk play, you know, whether it's a run or a screen, something quick, how many times do we see Jake Brendel 10, 15, even 20 yards downfield, blocking, sealing somebody off? Like, I think Brendel's doing some good things out there. And I know Kyle Shanahan puts a lot on that center position, kind of calling out blitzers, and a lot of that's on the center. And I think Jake has done a pretty good job. I don't think he quite gets talked about as much as he should. I mean, the snaps. A lot of times you look around the league, you're seeing, you know, centers snapping balls at the quarterback's ankles, or they're reaching for them. I know it happens on occasion, but for the most part, he's snapping good. My favorite thing is how he blocks downfield. Like, he's pretty agile. He's pretty mobile, blocking in the run game and the screen game. So Jake Brendel's my most underrated player on the Niners. But I'm going to kick it to Amin. Who you got most underrated?
I mean, an obvious choice would be Greenlaw, but since you mentioned the O line, I'm gonna go with Aaron Banks. You look at that offensive line,
Good
people
one.
are talking about Trent Williams on that left side. Obviously, people don't really talk about. Obviously, John Feliciano has been talked about the last couple of weeks, but Aaron Banks has also been really good for the 49ers. Obviously, thinking about it, his first year being inactive in many games, and you're like, Niners drafted him in the second round. Like, what's going on? And for what he's done the last 2 seasons, obviously he's been dealing with some turf toe this year, but I think he's been really great for the 49ers. And he kind of gets overshadowed because of Trent Williams. But if you really think about it, like when the Niners do run the ball, where do they run the ball? Primarily to the left. And yes, that is because of Trent Williams. But at the same time, Aaron Banks is also doing his job, and he's doing it at a really high level. I think he could have made the Pro Bowl this year as well. So Aaron Banks, I think, gets overshadowed a lot. And then on the defensive side, I gotta say it, Deommodore Lenoir. Deommodore Lenoir needs his praise. You look at Charvarius Ward. Obviously, people talk about Fred Warner. People are starting to talk about Dre Greenlaw more. Obviously, the studs that we have on defense. But Deommodore Lenoir deserves more praise. He's been playing like at a Pro Bowl level this year. The Niners put him on the inside. They sometimes line him up on the outside. He could play both. Sometimes he's in the slot. Sometimes he's on the outside. So the Niners use him in so many different ways. And he's been playing really well this year. Now, there obviously are times where he gets beat, but, I mean, what corner doesn't get beat in this league? Charvarius Ward does. Jalen Ramsey does. A lot of corners sometimes get beat, but I think and make mistakes, but I think Deommodore Lenoir has played for the most part at a really high level. So I would go with Deommodore Lenoir. He's probably one that's definitely underrated because you look at how much talent this Niners team has, and he's probably one guy that definitely gets overshadowed.
Yeah, but you only if you had to pick one though, I mean, are you going Banks or are you going Demo? Okay, let's skip it. Celts. Well, let's I'm gonna kick it to you. Who you got? Who you got here?
Well, Demo was my second guy. No, I'm kidding. No, he really was. But my first on my list, who gets the crown, who gets the champ, is who gets the trophy, whatever it is, the necklace, the charm. It's third and Jawan, baby. It's Jawan the dog, man. I'm having flashbacks of him smacking Trayvon Diggs, in the Dallas game. I think it was, at Dallas, and he didn't just do that to Diggs. Jawan does that all the time. He's just ain't putting up these Justin Jefferson numbers, so he's not going to be looked at some kind of way. But if you hear the players, if you listen to the interviews, everybody loves Jawan Jennings' spirit. Anybody I've heard talk about Jawan Jennings, they talk about how he's got a different vibe, but it's hella cool. I talked to you guys about it. When you got that one guy at work that's there that makes things flow a certain way, it's like, yes. And then when, there might need to be a substitute or replacement, you're like, it might feel kind of sketchy. Sorry, Chris Conley and Ronnie Bell and Ray McLeod, but it was obvious there was rust, and you could see when it's not clicking. And when do we ever say those things about Jawan Jennings? Whenever any throws go his way, why do we call him third and Jawan? Because they know that we could trust that big body. He might not be the fastest, but he's a dog. He got the spirit, the heart, the hands. He comes through in the clutch whenever it matters, no matter what it takes, every single time. Jawan Jennings. I hope he stays a Niner, man, because seventh round out of Tennessee? I remember him at Tennessee. It's just cool when you see some of those guys from back in the day mature and become the people that they are when you give them a shot and an opportunity, and they do those little things and the selflessness. So Jawan Jennings, third and Jawan, he gets it.
I don't know if you heard the story, Celts, or fellas, but when a new regime came to Tennessee, the coaching staff was thinking if something was going on with Jawan, thinking of kicking him off the team, and the players were like, no, we need Jawan Jennings. Like he's our guy. So he obviously ended up staying, and the rest is history. But Jay, who you got? Most underrated.
Great minds think alike, Celts. I was definitely going to choose Jawan Jennings. You not JJ, and I can't really add anything else. You said it all, Celts. But that's one guy who stood out as underrated. I mean, this team is talented, both sides of the ball. It's really hard to come up with an underrated guy. I mean, you could say Juice. He's probably the best fullback in the NFL, but there's not a ton. Like you could probably count on one hand the amount of fullbacks that are actually in the NFL. But Juice does it all. he doesn't really show up in the stat sheet unless he gets a catch or Shanahan's out of his mind and he actually gives him the ball. Mitch Wisnowski, underrated.
A little bit. Tabor Pepper. He
We
ain't missed a
should- if
snap
we
all
did
year.
Tabor
special
Pepper,
teamer-
best snapper.
Yeah,
thought
he
about
hasn't missed
doing-
a snap. Hey, we
I
haven't had
thought
a
about
hot
doing
snap all
special
year.
teamer of the year, and
Right,
it was
right.
like Tabor Pepper and Mitch Wishnowsky would
Tabor
run
Pepper.
away.
He's
Run away
a
with that
beast. Tabor Pepper. Hey, he's a beast. But that's who I thought of. Juwan Jennings. And I would say Juice. He just doesn't get utilized a ton, but when you got weapons galore, you can only move the ball around so much. But hey, well said by everyone, though. Well said.
Yeah. Hey, let's move on to the next one and let's pick up the pace because I want to get to these and I want to hear who you guys got in these wild card games. But we still got a few awards to give out. First one, Defensive Player of the Year. And why don't we start it off with Kelts?
Man, I can't forget what I know someone's got to pick the other guy, but I can't forget what Fred Warner did throughout the entire year. I don't know every single stat, but he is the heartbeat of this whole entire, you could arguably say, of the whole team, and I think he might have 5 interceptions. He was trending, man. I was hoping that he would, but I mean, that's incredible. I think that's the most he's ever had. I know he has a few sacks. I almost wish I would have, pulled all his numbers up and stuff to give a good reason why.
I got it right here. Kelts.
Anyway, let me try to guess. 3.5 sacks, 5 interceptions. I know he's got to have 100 and something tackles. Deflections, he got to have at least 8 deflections. Am I somewhere?
You're pretty close on everything. Sacks, we're at 2.5.
2.5.
Interceptions, 4. And then how about this one? I didn't know about this stat until I just saw it right now. 4 forced fumbles.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it feels like he was in the biggest moments. He rose to the occasion. And of course, there's going to be everybody like Amin said earlier about defensive backs. Cornerback is a hard position to play, but you're going to miss some arm tackles. I was a little harder on him and Greenlaw way earlier in the season after praising the crap out of them. Then they come through with missing some arm tackles. But I mean, it's the NFL. Like Jay says, everybody gets paid. Everybody's trying to feed their family. So we got to give props to the other side sometimes too. But Fred Warner is the 49ers defensive MVP, well-earned all-pro Fred. Let's get it. Dub City.
Hey, I would say Dre Greenlaw. I think he is the thumper on the squad. Usually he sets the tone on the defensive side. He's willing to get a penalty if necessary just to put some fear into the opposing squad. He's your Draymond Green, shall I say? At least Dre Greenlaw's not getting suspended, so that's a plus. But hey, he has no problem hitting someone in the mouth. It doesn't matter if it's a receiver, it's a running back, and how Debo kind of sets the tone as the enforcer on the offensive side. I think Dre Greenlaw does on the defensive side of the ball, and him and Warner make the best middle linebacker tandem in the NFL.
I like to call Dre Greenlaw Draymond Greenlaw. That's just the way it's put it together. Y'all catch the Raptors game yesterday?
Hell no. Hell to the no.
I gotta find it. And I gotta
Hell
go.
to the
Warriors.
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
In all seriousness,
Where the Lakers at, Mr. Laker? Are the Lakers any good?
Hell no. To the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
Both teams are struggling.
We're struggling right now, but if you're talking about standards right now, we 10th, you 11th. So, I mean, like we both like. I mean, at least as a Lakers fan, I know.
Oh shoot! Amin's got some
Amin's connection dropped.
Difficulties. We've lost Amin. Oh wait, looks like
Still
I was trying
got
to find
Case.
reception. Oh, I'm back. All right, I was just trying to find some reception. I thought it was the internet.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the year. Whew.
Damn it, Amin. Damn
This is
it.
such a tough one. This is such a
That's my
tough
whole
one.
mind up, even just thinking about. Go ahead, Amin. It's rough days. Go ahead. My bad, man.
Defensive player of the year. Who can I go with defensive player of the year? I mean, this is like a cop out answer, but I'm gonna go with Travarius Ward, playing at an All Pro level this year.
It's not a cop out answer. That was
Playing
going to be
really
my
well.
answer, but yeah,
It's a
keep
cop out
going.
answer because there's so
Hey,
much talent on this
it's
team.
not.
He was number one on my list. I switched it up last second, bro. That's
Yeah,
a good one.
Travarius Ward, if he doesn't get a mention on being the defensive player of the year for the Niners, because like if you think about it, he's had some struggles in the middle of the year, and people are like Travarius Ward overpaid, like he's been okay. I thought even after that, I was like, I thought Wilkes was gonna improve the DBs, but like Travarius Ward is struggling, and in the last couple of weeks he's been balling out, like leading. I think he leads the league in pass deflections and pass breakups. And now he's turning those pass breakups into interceptions, and he's been balling out the last couple of weeks. Yeah, I think Travarius Ward easily has to. He should at least be in contention for the award, but he's getting my award for Defensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got 5 interceptions on the year. You know, the last month and a half, I think he's played like a top 5 corner in the NFL. So absolutely worth a mention.
Thank God it
We're all,
was Jackson.
yeah, we all named different guys because I'm going with Nick Bosa. You know, team high 10.5 sacks, and I feel like his impact is more than what shows up in the stat sheet. You know, we know he gets double teamed a lot. He's had a ton of pressures, you know, kind of impacting quarterbacks, making him uncomfortable, and still has 10.5 sacks. So my DPOY is going to be Nick Bosa. So I love how we kind of spread that one. We spread out the love on that one. But let's flip it to the offensive side of the ball. And man, this one's tough. We're only picking one, fellas. I know Amin likes to name like 6 guys, but it's like just one this time, all right? Because this is where it gets tricky with
Everyone
offensive player of
deserves
the
some
year,
love, baller. Everyone deserves some love.
MVP. Well, we're gonna start right with you, Amin. Who you got for offensive player of the year?
See, my mind says Christian McCaffrey, but my heart says Brandon Ayuk. I gotta give it to Brandon Ayuk. Like the obvious answer would be Christian McCaffrey, but you already know Christian McCaffrey gets a huge workload in this offense, right? So obviously, what he's been able to do last season at the end of last year, and what he's been able to do this year, at least one person's probably gonna pick him on the panel. But I'm gonna go with Brandon Ayuk, considering the fact that obviously he's not a number one option on this team. He gets overlooked and overshadowed by a lot of guys. So I gotta go with Brandon Ayuk just for that reason, because he put up Pro Bowl numbers. He should have been a Pro Bowler this year. He's been playing at an All Pro level this year. So I'm gonna go with Brandon Ayuk, especially because he's not the first option in this offense. He's not even the second or the third option in this offense. And he's still balling out and putting up similar numbers to guys like CeeDee Lamb, who are wide receiver number ones for their team, and guys like Puka, and even Mike Evans, who are wide receiver ones. Yet Brandon Ayuk is having similar seasons, if not better. And he's a wide receiver 2 on this team, but you look at this team and how much talent they have. So I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk. I think he deserves some love. Didn't make the Pro Bowl, but I would say he's my offensive player of the year.
That's a great choice. Jay.
Hey, for me, it's Debo. Oh, Debo.
Oh.
When he doesn't play, there's something missing. Obviously, you still got you still got a plethora of other stars, but when he doesn't play, it's just something's missing. And he obviously had an impactful game against the Eagles, 116 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously had a huge game there. And honestly, I was a little tough on Debo. I didn't, I ain't gonna go into that. It's Debo Samuel for me, for what he brings on the field. the offensive enforcer. Guys don't want to tackle him. I think he's played better as a receiver this year. I think E was saying something about that earlier, like, hey, I want to see Debo run the route tree, and he's done that this year, and he's excelled. And Brock Purdy has brought the best out of Debo Samuel. He's not just a gadget player. He's not just a wide back. He's a do it. He can do it all. He's an all-purpose type player. Debo Samuel is. So for me, you can give it to a lot of guys. I'm going with number 19, Debo. Who else wants some? Who else wants some of Debo? Can't wait to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah, tuck your chain, man. I love that. I love the Debo pick. Yeah, by both of y'all, man, because I wasn't thinking about Debo on a lot of these things, but Amin, you made a good point on the comeback. Jay, obviously, because he's the offensive heartbeat, like Fred Warner on the other side. So great points by y'all. I gotta go with the obvious. CM mother freaking C. I mean, hey, a few days ago, about a week ago, I went searching for where he ranks in all-time 49er history, and it kind of surprised me in a good way. He has the 6th most rushing attempts ever in 49er history. I mean, just even that, I was like, that's pretty impressive out of all the years ever. You know what I'm saying?
Like in a year and a half?
Yeah, no, but in just this year, is the 6th most rushing attempts by a San Francisco 49er out of Joe Perry, Garrison Hurst, Ricky Waters, Frank Gore. We could just keep rolling. Roger Craig.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has the 6th most. I'm going to just go down this list. Rushing yards, the 4th most ever in 49er history, 1,495. And that's he was obviously the rushing champion this year, first time in his career. Well done, CMC. 5.4 average yards an attempt, number 1 in the history of the 49ers. Minimum carries 200. So he was actually tied with Frank Gore when Frank Gore had like 1,600 yards, I believe, 2000. I can't remember. But that tied with Frank Gore at 5.4 a carry. 14 rushing touchdowns, number 1 in 49er history. 563 receiving yards, number 11 in 49er history. And 2023 all-purpose yards, number 5 in 49er history. And 21 total touchdowns, number 2 behind Jerry the GOAT Rice. So, I mean, when you add that up just in history of the 49ers, I don't care if we've had 3 Hall of Famers or 12 Hall of Famers at running back. History is history. It's incredible, no matter what the number was. So, well done, CMC. Let's get it, baby.
Yeah, I'm following you up, Celts. I'm giving Offensive Player of the Year to Christian McCaffrey. 2,000 scrimmage yards.
2023.
That's freaking awesome. That's big time. We know how good Christian McCaffrey's been when he runs it. He's got just tremendous vision, his acceleration, his ability to make people miss. Not to mention you put him in the slot and he's Wes Welker. So it's Christian McCaffrey is my Offensive Player of the Year. I'm glad he's a 49er. Just a great move to go out and get him by John Lynch.
Dude, I could only imagine how hot Kyle Shanahan was. I didn't watch any interviews or anything, but did y'all remember the Elijah Mitchell I don't even know what to call it, but he kind of knocked I think someone was in there at right guard. He not only did he miss the block and completely let do, but he knocked. It's like he blocked our guy instead of their guy. So it's like, did y'all see that play? Dude, it was awful. I know those are the kind of things where Kyle's like, dude, you ain't getting one damn snap. You ain't getting one snap in the playoffs. Like, I wish I had it where I could show y'all because, yeah, it was, just thinking about CMC, those are the reasons why we might not see a Mason or Elijah Mitchell. It just takes one blown assignment for your quarterback to be done. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't going to risk it. I love you, Elijah, but at the same time, come on, man.
Last award we got, it's the biggest one. It's the MVP award. Who is the MVP of this 49ers team? I'll kick this one off. I'm going with 13. Brock Purdy. I'm so glad he's our quarterback. And I have a feeling he's going to be our quarterback for the next decade. So just what he's done this year, how consistent he's been. He plays so good within structure, yet he gives you 2 or 3 plays every game where he's just a playmaker. He's on the run. He's throwing downfield. He's pointing. He's telling dudes where to go. Brock Purdy, he's freaking awesome. I'm glad he's our quarterback. That's my MVP. But Jay, I want to know who you got.
Whew, man. The options are aplenty, but I got to go with a guy who's been with the Niners for the past 4 seasons. He's played at least 85% of the snaps.
Hey,
He
you
plays, well, let's say the Niners traded, I think, what, a day 2 pick for this cat. Arguably, no, not arguably. He is the best left tackle in
Trent
the
Williams.
NFL. The big silver back. Trent Williams.
Whoa.
Got to be Trent. Hey, he holds down the left side of his line. He is the leader of that squad along the offensive line, the big bullies. They follow his lead. I mean, do we really want to see Colton McKivitz line up at left tackle? I don't think so. Do we want to see Jalen Moore for extended games line up at left tackle? No. So, hey, when the big silverback is in there, I know he misses a few games every season. Hey, man, but hey, he brings it. Best left tackle, and I think probably the second greatest trade in the Lynch and Shanahan era.
There's been some good ones, but yeah, that's up there. That's awesome. I love that pick, Jay. And then, well, Daddy said, hey.
Bro, I had to read this like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, did I miss something? Did I read this right?
He said, hey, guys, love the content. Today is my wife/sister's and her boyfriend's side piece anniversary.
There's a lot going on.
Thanks for the chuckle and happy anniversary to y'all. But Amin, who you got for MVP of this 49ers squad?
Brock Purdy. I think he's my honorable mention. I'm gonna go with Brock Purdy's my honorable mention. I'm going with Fred Warner. I think Fred Warner is the real leader of this football team. If you look at it, right, like Fred Warner, even like maybe it's just because I see some of his podcasts and like the way that Fred like talks about certain things, he's like, we know we have to be better. And I know Fred Warner in that locker room, he's not only holding himself accountable, but he's holding everybody accountable. Not only guys on the defense, but guys on the offense. You look at him, he's motivating the team, before the game, he's doing the pregame speech, post-game speech. Like, he's the real leader in that locker room. Is he a captain? I'm pretty sure he's a captain. I don't remember who all the captains are, but I'm pretty sure he's a captain. But he's the real leader of this 49ers team. Outside of the coaches, he's that one player who's not only the leader for the defense, but also the leader on the offense, and he gets the guys in check. And not only does he motivate and try to make other guys better, he also plays and tries to make himself better on a week-to-week basis. So I think Fred Warner definitely deserves to be the MVP of the 49ers.
Love it. Love it, Kelts. Who you got?
It's Glock Purdy. There it is, Glock Purdy, bro, because I look at it like this. First, I could go to the first game, back shoulder. Oh, what's up, Patrick Peterson? Okay, we'll see. Bang, bang. Niner gang, just from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, and even his worst games, the 3 worst games, 2 of those games wasn't even horrible. He had some timely bad interceptions. I mean, he broke franchise records on some of the things he did this year, regardless of how good those records were or not. He did things. We haven't had a quarterback throw more than 30 touchdowns since I think 2002, somewhere in that range. We haven't had a Pro Bowl quarterback since Jeff Garcia, 2002. And I don't care if it's because everybody else sucked. This guy brought it. The seventh rounder. The 7th rounder, came through Mr. Irrelevant. What a story from beginning to end. He's a true leader. He's a true leader up and down. And there was another thing that I had about Brock Purdy that completely escaped me, but I'm sure I'll remember it before the end of this. But I mean, how can it? Oh yeah, this is my thing. I feel like if Brock Purdy were to go down and Sam Darnold came in, hey, we know you can make some amazing throws, Sam Darnold, but I think there's zero chance for us to win the Super Bowl. Now, yes, Trent is the best in the freaking world, but I still think we would have a sliver of hope without Bosa, without Trent, without Debo, without Ayuk, or even without CMC, because there is Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell, because Kyle might be able to scheme around Trent Williams, because, Jawan Jennings is there. Who knows? Danny Gray might even emerge if something got, Lord forbid, something did happen to Ayuk or Debo. I feel like
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Yeah, to the no.
hey, I had to
You
get
think we're
one-
going to see Danny Gray at this point? We ain't
Bruh,
seen him all year.
the
He can
point
fly. He can fly.
the point of the argument is, nah, props though. I deserved one throughout the year at least. Amin couldn't be the only one, but I just feel like if Fred Warner went down, we still got Flanagan Fowles and Oren Burks and freaking Dre Greenlaw. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. Who's the most valuable? I know it's a quarterback thing. Quarterback is, the most important position in all sports. I didn't make that up. That's just the way it is. I would love to give it to, somebody else, but just looking at it from that aspect, I feel like it'd be completely done if Brock Purdy went down and anybody else. I think there'd still be a percentage of a chance.
I could make the case that if CMC goes down, I don't know if we can rely on Elijah Mitchell. Maybe we could rely on JP Mason, but they're just not the same backs.
It wouldn't be the same, but I just feel like we would still have a chance to win versus some of the best teams compared to if it was Sam Darnold and CMC. But
yeah, if Purdy gets hurt, it will require the most out of everyone else in order for us to win. I would agree with that. Yeah. If Purdy goes out, chances are it's probably not gonna happen. Yeah.
How do you feel? I mean,
listen, I apologize. I know y'all Warriors fans are grieving right now. I know I'm the only one that gets the hell no's and the hell
press the
no's.
button.
Amin must got to go. He must got to go somewhere. He got to go to school tomorrow.
Amin's Wi-Fi is acting up, apparently. But hey, fellas, that concludes the award show. I love how we kind of spread out these awards. We didn't give, all of us didn't give them to the same guys. So a lot of dudes walking away, with some memorabilia. But why don't we go rapid fire? I want to hear who you guys got this wild card weekend before we get out of here. So we're gonna bounce around. Let's see if we can get Amin the Dream back in here so we can get his wild card picks. But let's go around. Let's just say who we think's gonna win. I don't think we got too much time to dialogue here, but let's start off in the AFC. It's Steelers. It's Bills. And I'm going Bills. Yeah, I have a feeling it might be Bills around. Anyone going with the Steelers? No.
Oh.
And okay, so we got Bills around on that first one. This next game is a little bit more interesting. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, put it up. Okay, I guess I gotta put Amin back on the screen with that hideous purple jersey on.
Is that D'Angelo Russell? Kuzma?
That's LeBron.
Should have been Kobe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I got the Bills.
Hey, wait, hold on.
You got the Bills? So it's a clean sweep.
I got to hit my hairline up. I hit the hairline up real quick. All right, good. I had to wipe the bald spots away real fast.
Yeah, I'm right behind you. But this next game might be a little more interesting. We got Miami is going over to Kansas City. Tyreek Hill's back home. Who you guys got? Miami, Kansas City. I'll start it off saying I'm going KC.
Kansas City. And Browns.
KC at home. Yes. And Miami's been a little shaky. KC's defense been playing pretty well. I probably would go KC.
Tua is atrocious. He is like against garbage, he's fine, but against good teams, he just like, oh my goodness, I don't get it. How bad can you be?
And it's probably going to be hella cold.
Mhm.
You ain't going to see Mostert and A-Kane and Tyreek flying around. I don't know. I just don't
But
see it.
maybe they'll run the ball more, but I don't know. I haven't watched a ton of Chiefs games, but I think their defense is good.
I'm surprised from how much I have watched the Chiefs. I'm almost surprised, but I feel like they're going to wake up in the playoffs, man. Like I don't know how far, but I've been crapping on the Bills, but I feel like the Bills and the Browns are arguably the hottest teams with the Rams and of course the Niners and freaking Ravens, regardless of whether
But
they're
the Chiefs lost to the Raiders in KC. I mean,
we lost to PJ Walker.
Yeah. Hey, we was on the road though, Kels. We was on the road, man. It's different.
No, I ain't supposed to be bringing this stuff up, but hey, man, I gotta. I'm coming real now, man. I gotta keep it lit. But yeah, I think it's Browns, Kansas City, and Bills. I'll just really rapid fire it. It's gonna be Dallas. I think it's gonna be the Rams and Buccaneers.
All right, that's who Kelch got. Browns and Texans. I'm going with D'Amico. I don't know if I'm just pulling for D'Amico, but I already bashed Flacco a couple weeks ago, and I'm too scared to like flip this quickly. Like after bashing him, I can't. So I'm rocking with CJ Stroud and D'Amico. I think they're going to put up some points, and although Browns defense is freaking awesome, I think they're going to outscore the Browns. So I'm going with the Texans. But who you guys got there, me and Jay?
You want to kick it, Jay?
Sure. I'm going with Cleveland. They're at home. You're going up against a rookie quarterback, first playoff game. This is be his real welcome to the NFL playoff moment. And as E said, hey, Cleveland's defense is ferocious, and they'll probably force some turnovers. I'm taking Cleveland at home.
Cleveland's on the road, though.
They are? Oh,
yeah.
My bad. Oh, yeah. You're right.
Right?
No, you're right. Yeah, because they're the fifth seed and Houston's the fourth. So yeah, that makes sense.
Oh yeah, they got the division because the Jags lost, huh?
I think I'm gonna still take Cleveland. I'm gonna still take Cleveland on the road.
And we broke a couple teams. We broke a few teams this year.
I want D'Amico to do well, but I think Cleveland. If I had to bet, I would take Cleveland on the road.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I want. Of course, I'm rooting for the Texans, man. It just feels like there's Niners spread out through the NFL, but especially D'Amico, man. It's just you gotta love that dude. I liked him when he was a player, man. I predicted he would go to the Texans. People are like, you crazy? You ain't gonna go to that dumpster fire. I was like, that is the exact reason why you go somewhere like that, so you can take it from the ground up and be like, watch what I'm gonna do.
Especially when they draft you,
It feels like he resurrected almost what went wrong with Trey Lance in San Francisco and was like, watch what I'm about to come up over here. I'm about to go get the guy I want. I'm about to utilize him to the fullest and watch this heart speaks stupid loud, and it's pouring out. It's contagious.
Who you got to me?
I'm pulling for D'Amico, so I'm gonna go with the Texans. I mean, even though the Browns do got a dominant defense, I know because I had them in fantasy this year. But I'm gonna go with the Texans. I'm rooting for D'Amico, and CJ Stroud hasn't looked like a rookie this year. He's looked better than Tua Tagovailoa. So yeah,
I love it. Okay, we got that. We got the AFC down. Let's go to the NFC again. This is rapid fire, fella. Just give me one word on who the winner is. Okay, Packers, Cowboys. I'm going Cowboys.
I'm going Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Okay, Cowboys in a sweep. Oh, Stafford is going back home to Detroit. You guys got the Rams or the Lions? This one might be the toughest out of all of them, the games. But you guys go first. I can't do it. You guys go.
I'm going with those pesky Lions.
Don't y'all remember what Dan Campbell said? He's like, we're going to bite a kneecap off, and then on our way up, we're going to bite another kneecap off, and on the way up, we're going to bite another kneecap off. Like, he said something like that. So I'm going to go with, I think Dan Campbell will have his team ready. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
Celts.
Oh yeah, I hate to say it, but I already said Rams. This is
Yeah, I'm going Rams. I'm going Rams. So we're split there. Last one to finish it off. Eagles, Bucks in Tampa. I think the Eagles are reeling. I'm going Bucks.
I'm going to make it simple. Eagles. Tampa put up 9 points against the Panthers last week. They're not it. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Probably go with the Eagles. Yeah, Eagles.
I think it was kind of sketchy when they faced each other. I'm thinking, was it Monday night? I know it was on. I'm pretty sure it was a primetime game way earlier in the season, but the Eagles didn't just blow them out the water. I think their defense is way less than that. And there was some stuff out there that I feel like Tampa, left some meat on the bone. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like they could definitely do it. It's in Tampa. I mean, my God, like I just said a minute ago, it feels like we broke the Jaguars, we broke the Eagles. But Chad Ochocinco, if y'all are a believer in him, he said he thinks the Eagles are playing possum and they are going to. Nah, hey, he was for real too. He was like, he really thinks they're playing possum. And Chad Ochocinco said, oh, he's done that in his career before. He's done the same games that the Eagles are playing. I think they're just lost in all ways. They're lost, bro. Big Dom ain't coming back through that door, bro, to save nobody.
So it sounds like you're taking the Eagles.
It's done. I said Buccaneers a long time ago.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mayfield.
Hey, that's it. We got the picks are locked in. We'll have
Who'd
to
you pick,
revisit
E?
this next week.
Who'd you pick?
Oh, I went Bucks. I'm going Bucks.
Bucks. Okay. All right.
Yeah, Eagles are reeling. Eagles are reeling. So
Come
Tampa's
on,
gonna get them.
Did he want to retire because he like?
There it is, bro.
Hey, we appreciate everyone for sliding through. That's it from the Straight Out of the Bay crew. You know, we can kick it around one more time. Hey, fellas, any last thoughts that you guys want to say before we get out of here?
Hey, huge shout out to the faithful, the Niner Empire, for showing up tonight, repping in the chat. We appreciate everyone who tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe. I'm not sure we're doing a show next Monday. We'll see, but we'll definitely do one after the Niners' next playoff game. But yeah, we appreciate everyone rocking through, and a happy New Year to everyone as well.
Yeah, real talk. Hey, I'm pretty sure we're gonna know our opponent. You know, that Monday. So I mean, hey, we could do a deep dive on that. You know, who knows? We'll talk about it. But hey, we made it through. It's our second season, right? It's like, hey, man, it was heartbreak last season. Man, it's just hella cool, man. You know, I don't know. There was a lot of question marks with this season. I'm typically optimistic. Hey, man, we're the number 1 seed right now. We're sitting as good as we could possibly be sitting. I mean, we're out here handing out awards. We don't even know, man, there's too many players to give. I mean, it's incredible, man. It's been a great year. Hey, just even watching you grow up, I mean, it's hella cool, man. I was checking out an older show a little while back, man. And so it's just hella cool to just sit back and really reflect on it all. Another season almost in the books. Hopefully, my birthday is on the 14th of February. So hopefully I get an early birthday and we can all celebrate on the freaking 11th. And, it's been a long time. So we appreciate everybody who tunes in. Much love to everybody. Much love to you guys. And let's keep this thing rolling, baby.
100.
Amin, be careful with your words, Amin, and quickly, because we're about to wrap up. I know Amin's known to go on like 20-minute dialogue.
I got 2 quick things to say, but you gotta let me finish, ball. You gotta let me finish this.
Zach Wilson.
Nah, you see this right here? You see this right here?
Oh, wait, that's a warrior. Oh, bruh.
Right here, you see this right here? This is my mom's.
Oh,
lastly,
you used to be a Warrior fan.
And lastly,
bruh, and then COVID, the bubble hit, and then you flipped back. He was a Warrior.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Bang,
bang, Niner gang.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Hey, appreciate you guys for stopping by. Catch y'all next time.
Peace.
getting it, boy.
What's good? You know who it is. It's your boy, Jay in the Bay.
Your baller back again. Smells like football season.
Yo.